This is level 2 of the CFA program, the topic on alternative investments, and the reading on real estate investments. I was curious about how this was treated when I went through the program hundreds of years ago, and I couldn't find my old-time books, but I did find books that were published about a decade ago. And this concept of real estate was embedded in a reading called An Introduction to Alternative Investments. And so I tell you that just so you can get a sense of how this topic has expanded. Now it's a huge reading, and there's lots and lots of really, really good stuff in here. I also mentioned that to try to focus your attention, at least in the beginning here, of the similarities between this asset class known as alternative investments and all the other stuff we've been doing back in level 1 and currently in level 2 with fixed income securities and equity securities. So let me just go ahead and start off by reminding you of those similarities. Investors look essentially for two things, right? They look for income and they look for capital gains. Well, that's of course is true here in alternative investments and in specifically to real estate investments. Now, of course, the terminology changes, and you'll see that as we go through the LOSs and the slide deck. But I also want to remind you of all of what we learned from Modigliani and Miller, that the quality of an asset, the quality of a fixed income security, the quality of an equity security, and now, of course, the quality of real estate depends primarily on two things: the ability of the asset to generate cash flow, and then, of course, how much does it cost in terms of an interest rate to finance the investment in that particular asset class. And you'll see the similarities as we go through these learning outcome statements. But then again, of course, you have to focus on the differences because there are some unique characteristics. And that's why real estate is in this other asset class. So notice what we'll do here in these LOSs. We'll start out with some characteristics and then some risks. And that's probably among the more important one. Then we'll talk about property types and due diligence, some indexes, and then some methods to value some property. So let's go ahead and get right to this. Of course, two big differences here, residential and non-residential. I'm guessing you don't need me to cover this slide, but I think this is probably a really good introductory exam question for this topic about the difference between the owner-occupied and rent for both residential and non-residential. How about some basic forms of real estate? Private equity.